YouTube fans, welcome to my channel. Come on in, get comfy. I'm going to do your reading, and let me see what deck of cards do I want to use today. These are calling me. Okay, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate. I'm going to shuffle while I'm talking. I appreciate you clicking on my video. I know there are a lot of good readers on YouTube, and thank you for giving me a chance. I'm just getting started here on YouTube, so if you hit that like button or subscribe or even make a comment, it really makes a difference to my channel and the growth here. But most importantly, it helps the message get to the families that these messages are meant for, which is why I do this. Alrighty, let's see. I am, thank you, going to pull a few cards, and while I do this, while I'm pulling the cards, I'm going to tell you who I've got coming through today is a gentleman. He's older, and he's telling me he died. He's showing me him coughing just repeatedly, coughing. He's saying, I can't hardly get my breath, I'm just coughing constantly. And when I ask what this is about, because if you've watched my videos before, some spirits don't want to focus on how they died, they want to focus on how they lived. But somehow this is important to the story, so when they do show me, I always try to convey it. But he's saying, okay, oops, all right, thank you. Now I don't know if those were which way, if those upright or not. We'll just see what happens when I turn them over. He is saying, I think there might have been a question about his death, because he's saying he had the flu, and everybody thinks he died of the flu, and I thought that was a little odd, because not too many people, at least in the United States, die from the flu, I don't think, anymore. We're not talking about COVID here, we're talking about flu, is what they gave me very specifically, the word flu. And so, I don't know, I'm not a medical professional, I have no idea. But then when he went on, he was explaining, he said, that's what they thought I died of. He said, it was compounded, because he said there was something to do with his heart. He had a weak heart, or maybe he even was coughing, was in so much stress that he had a heart attack. I don't know if that's possible because of the flu, but there were two things going on that ultimately caused his death. He was sick with the flu, and there was something to do with his heart. So I don't know if because he was sick he had fluid in his heart. I just don't have a clue. What more than that, I wish I could give you more. Excuse me. But apparently I think the family might have questioned, well, how could he have died of the flu? How could that card is speaking? And so he wanted to come through to tell you it was the flu, but it wasn't. It was my heart. My heart gave out. My heart couldn't take it, or something. That's the message. Again, specifics about medical stuff, I don't know. That's the best I can do for you. Oh, good. I was waiting for one more card there. Alrighty, here. Let's see. We'll see what these cards tell us. But before I turn them over, because most of the time I get my reading before I do the cards are more for you guys, just so I have something to show you besides my gnarly old hands. But he's coming through to talk to his wife, and they were, I think, lifetime long loves. They were married for a long time, and they just were the sweetest couple. They really adored each other. They had a great relationship. You know, all relationships have ups and downs, but in fact, he's showing me there was a time when they did have, because that's relevant to whoever this is meant for, all right? There was a time when they almost didn't make it, he said. I don't know if there was an infidelity or the potential of that, and the other partner got wind of that, or somehow, but there was one period in their marriage where they debated about whether to stay together or not, but ultimately didn't, and they were both very, very glad they stayed together. Apparently they were happy. But he's talking to the wife. This message is for the wife. And here, I'll go ahead and turn these over while I'm talking. That, because I don't even look at these cards really until I'm done downloading this message they give me. So he's telling me that when he passed, that you grieved him, but you were more focused on being grateful for the time that you had together, for the good times and the life that you shared together, and the family, and all of that. That you just had a great mindset. That you were more focused on being grateful for what you had, not the fact that what you don't have. So he is getting specific, however. You are thinking, or recently in other words, this may have already happened, or you're in the middle of it, or you're thinking about doing it somewhere, but he's acknowledging what's going on in your life, because that's what they do. They like you to know. They want you to know they're still there with you. They still see what's going on in your life. So you were debating about, or again, this could have already happened, about selling the quote family home. And apparently, because I kind of get the sense that you've already done it, or maybe you're still physically there, but you've got a contract on the house or something. But you debated long and hard about it. Apparently it was a painful decision, a difficult decision to make. And I think of course, it would be natural. You would think that's where all your memories were made. That was where, if you have children, your children, I think you do have children there. I think they're been out of the house for quite a while now. But, where all those memories were made, and most of all, where the two of you made your memories and have built your life, and for at least the biggest part of your married life. And so obviously there's a lot of sentimental feelings and memories and so forth. But you did it for practical reasons, because you felt it was, best for your future, of course. And so what he's coming through to tell you is, I think you had some level of guilt about it. It seems to me that you felt like you were trying to hold on to him if you held on to the house, but you felt like if you sold it, that there was some guilt about letting it go. And so he's acknowledging that, first of all, yes, he's not in the physical anymore, but he is still around you. He still sees you. And just because he's not in the physical doesn't mean you can't connect with him. And that he's approving of your decision. Let me just kind of get that out. He is acknowledging what you're going through. He is very much okay with your decision to sell this house and to move on. In fact, he's happy because he knows that it will make life much, much simpler and easier for you. And also, I feel like you're making a decision to either be closer to, or maybe even live with, a family member. And I want to say this is another woman. Either, I think you're old enough that your mother wouldn't still be alive, but if you are, then if you're not, then it could be, or a sister figure, but another female that you have a lot in common with. It feels like someone you're very close to, like a family member. I think it might be, like I said, your sister or a mother. And you're making the decision to either move in with them, or share some kind of a house situation, or move close to them. And he is very much in approval of that decision, because he doesn't want you to be alone. He doesn't want you to be alone. He wants you to be near family and friends, and he wants you to have a happy life. He's saying he too was grateful for the time you had together, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful sweet feeling that I'm getting from this. Now, let me just look down, because I often look out my window while I'm talking, and then I look down at the cards. I don't even know what's here. And I also don't often know if this message is meant for you, the viewer, or more about him or what he was telling me. So let me just take a second here and see what this is about and what these cards are telling me. Sometimes it's just the same story, just the cards backing it up. I don't think this was about the story that I've already told. Well, I am here, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm here. I know you can't see my face, but I'm getting two different stories here, so I'm trying to tune in. Okay, I take that back. I'm gonna take that back, what I just said. I think it is about the backstory. Yeah, I feel like this goes back to that story he was saying. It's just telling me more about that. The time when you had the potential of your marriage not working, that you made the decision. I think it may have been one of you may have had I'm trying to think of the right word. I'm going to call it a temptation outside of the marriage. And it's just basically giving me the same story here. And by the way, I don't read these cards in the traditional meaning like you would love reading always, because of the context of the kind of reading this is. But specifics on the card give me messages. And so I think you just went through this challenge of feeling restricted, and then once you realize where you're true, it's like you had to go, and I'm saying you, I don't know if this was you or your husband, I don't know which one of you this was, but it got you into this situation because you were feeling restricted and held back. And you know, I think that's a fairly common story, that we feel maybe our life is boring, or we have all these obligations and whatever, and you know, something comes along to tempt us, and then we feel like we've been freed, and our spirit is wild and crazy and free again, like when we were young. And you know, you had again, I don't know if this is you or your husband, but whoever it was, you had a difficult choice to make. But you chose not to continue that relationship. You had a choice. This card can be, it can be about awakening, reawakening, you know, it can also sometimes be about reconciliation. And so you debated about that. But I think this card is telling me you did not reconcile with the other person, with the third party, is what I'm getting from this message. For a while you felt this was a bit of an obsession, whoever this other person was that was involved, or you know, and it could have been a thing, not a person, you know, it could have been a job or literally an addiction. You know, third parties don't always mean a physical person. So if that's the case, then you know, apply that to the story here. But it feels like there were long-held wishes or dreams, or I'm going to say, oh, this is interesting. I've never had this word come out of my mouth when I'm looking at the star card, but fantasies. Okay, fantasies is the word. Which, you know, when we get a little pulled off of our straight and narrow, that certainly can happen. that did not come true. But in the end, and again, I keep feeling like this was a third party with a person, because this Queen of Wands is my third party person, woman. Not always, but in most cases she is one of the reasons, and the Three of Cups here. But anyway, but things were revealed, and I want to see what's under here, because when things were revealed, let me see if I can tell this more story. Yeah, again, it's kind of the same thing. You were debating, you debated about whether to continue your marriage, maybe in your own mind. I don't think I don't know if you talked about that with each other, but in the end, you did not go down this new path. Yeah, there were secrets, and you know, one of you started feeling very, very guilty, whoever this was that was pulled outside the marriage. You know, you were accused of being a player. Maybe you debated about becoming, you know, kind of just single and, you know, having that life again. There was a lot of conflict. There was some ego and stubbornness and sleepless nights and all of that. And somebody, yeah, and then you go through, this is not like a typical event where, and I'm not downplaying it, I don't mean that, but I mean, I see this dynamic in certainly people I've known, and, you know, readings and all that, where the person that is pulled outside the marriage, you know, once, if they really, really had love here, and they come to their senses, or whatever, come to their senses sounds judgmental, I don't mean it to, but then they have a period of remorse, and they, you know, and the truth comes out, and I'm just looking at all these things, yeah, and, but in the end, I'll show you, I don't think these are on camera. But in the end, you decided to stick with the tried and true, the slow journey, the offer that's all, this knight always, he's the most dependable knight. It's a very long, slow process, but he always gets to his destination. And you had a passionate new beginning here in your relationship, and you guys decided to stick it out for the long haul. Let me see if there's anything else. No, he's just going back to the sale of this house that I feel like you're going through, or as I said, or just about to, or done, whatever. He's saying, he sees your angst, and he wants you to be okay with that, because he is okay with it, and he doesn't want you losing any more sleep or worrying about it. He's perfectly fine with it. He's saying, get on with your life. I'll always be watching over you. Oh, yeah, he's saying, I'll always be watching over you. And is there anything else that I'm just tuning in here just a second? I'm wondering if you something about sailing or going out in a boat together, or watching the sunset from a boat or the beach, something you did together like that is very, very special. And he's saying, I don't know if that was a special vacation, or maybe you lived on the water or the lake or something like that, but I know that's very generic, but still, because I like to ask when I can if there's something special that he could show you in the physical world that would help you know it's him that he's trying to communicate with. And I do this in my head in the reading when I'm talking, sometimes, most of the time, all the time today. And so when I ask that question, he shows me that flash of you sitting together near water and looking out, watching the sunset together, and talking about whatever you would share during those special moments. So there's something about, you know, sunsets. Maybe you've got a picture of a beautiful sunset that you took on a trip together, or maybe when you sit and watch a sunset, you always think of him and say his name, or he's just acknowledging that, and he's saying, when you do that, I am there with you. I can see that you're doing that. I know that you're thinking about me, and I'm there right beside you, just not in the physical. Yes, okay, good. That was what he wanted to convey. Okay, guys, well, that is it for me. Thank you for watching. If you stayed to the end, I really, really appreciate it. Make a comment. Let me know where you guys are from. I'm always so very intrigued by that. And I will see you guys again soon. Thanks again for watching, and I wish you all many, many blessings. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.